Good morning, students. In the last class, we have seen about the complementary symmetry push-pull amplifier. So, in this class, we are going to see about the class D amplifier and class S amplifier. So, the class D amplifier circuit is looking like the complementary symmetry class B push-pull amplifier. The only difference here is it does not have two supply voltages. Only one supply voltage is present, another supply is grounded. So here in this circuit we can observe the complementary symmetry pair. So the Q1 is a NPN type of transistor and the Q2 is a PNP type of transistor. The emitters are joined and then given to the load resistor RL, and we are taking V0 across the RL. Here the both inputs bases of the Q1 and the Q2 are joined and then given to the input signal. This is a circuit for class D amplifier. So here the Q1 and Q2 will act as ideal switches. Those are not amplifying anything, they are just acting like switches. So what is the operation of switch? Either switching on and off the device. So like that here also the Q1 and Q2 are switching on and switching off. That is the operation of these transistors. Suppose when the input is positive, then the Q1 will on because it is NPN, it will on for the positive voltage. So if Q1 is on, the same positive voltage is given to the Q2. That's why the Q2 will off because it is a PNP type which will off for the positive voltage. If the input voltage is negative, then the negative voltage will switch off the Q1 transistor, and the same negative voltage will switch on the Q2 transistor. Here, as the transistor is acting as a switch, the output voltage is always either the supply voltage or the zero voltage. So here, if the Q1 is in on, then the output voltage is equal to the supply voltage. If the Q1 is off, then the output voltage is 0 volts. So we can say output has only two states. One is supply voltage, another one is 0 volts. So the states 1 and 0 will represent the digital. So the output of the class D amplifier is a digital output. As I told, the transistors are ideal transistors. Therefore, there is no dissipation in the transistor side. So, the total power will be delivered to the load. The entire power input is available to the load. Hence, the efficiency of class D amplifier is 100%. As we know that the efficiency of class A is 25% and class A transformer coupled is 50% and class B amplifier efficiency is 78.5% only, but the class D amplifier has the efficiency of 100% because there is no dissipation of power in this class D amplifier. If the transistor is off, no voltage or no power will be drawn from the supply, so that there is no dissipation in the power. The practical class D amplifiers are designed to operate with the digital signals. In this diagram, we can see the basic block diagram of a class D amplifier. The class D amplifier circuit alone is not used as a class D amplifier. It is a combination of comparator and low pass filter and feedback network. So the comparator has the two inputs. One is a sinusoidal input signal and another one is a sawtooth signal. So the comparator will compare the sinusoidal signal and sawtooth signal and generates a pulse waveform. This pulse waveform will be the input for the class D amplifier. So this class D amplifier output is also a pulse waveform. So this pulse waveform is again giving as input for the low pass filter. Here the reconstruction of the signal is going on. After the low pass filter, we will get the reproduced sinusoidal signal. Here the feedback network is giving feedback from the low pass filter to the comparator. So the comparator comparing sawtooth waveform and sinusoidal waveform and producing a pulse waveform. This process is called chopping of sinusoidal waveform. So this Pulse waveform is the input for the class D amplifier. So for the high input, the transistors will on and produces a high output. For low input, the transistors will off and produces low output. In practical class D amplifier, instead of using power transistors, we use power MOSFETs. Here Q1 and Q2 are the power MOSFETs. These MOSFETs are getting input from the center tapped transformer. So this center tapped transformer will maintain alternating voltage at the two outputs of that, so that at every time only one MOSFET will be in on position. If Q1 is in on, then Q2 automatically will be in off position. So if Q1 off, Q2 will be in on position. Here VA is the output node. From here we are taking the output voltage. From this node VA, the output voltage is given to the LC tuned circuit along with LC and RL, which forms a series resonance circuit which has a resonance frequency that is equal to the fundamental frequency of our amplifier. We will take the output voltage across the RL. So here you can observe we are using the plus VCC supply as well as the minus VCC supply in order to operate the MOSFET class D power amplifier. So assuming that the input voltage is a square wave, the output voltage is also a square wave which appears across the point VA. The square wave VA expressed in Fourier series and amplitude fundamental component is given by V1M. So this is a square wave which is alternating between plus VCC and minus VCC voltages. You can also see the operation of the circuit when Q1 is on and Q2 will be in off position. The output voltage is the VCC voltage. As I told, the MOSFETs are ideal MOSFETs. There is no on resistance for this. So why we are going for MOSFETs instead of power transistors is the MOSFETs will gives you more linear response than the BJTs, and the thermal runaway is not there in MOSFETs. So the thermal runaway is the main problem in BJT that is not there in a MOSFETs, and on time of a MOSFETs is very less when compared with the BJTs. Because of these reasons, we are moving to the MOSFET power amplifiers instead of BJT power amplifiers. So let us move to the ideal performance of class D power amplifier. So the VA is a square wave. The amplitude fundamental component of this square wave is given as V1M, which is equal to 4 by pi VCC. Therefore, the fundamental component can be expressed as V1, which is a combination of the fundamental amplitude component along with sine omega t. V1 is equal to V1M sine omega t. So V1M can be replaced as 4 by pi VCC into sine omega t. So the fundamental current component can be expressed as I1. So we know that I is equal to V by R. So similarly, I1 is equal to V1 by RL. So we are replacing V1 as V1M into sine omega t, which is nothing but 4 by pi VCC sine omega t. Therefore, I1 is equal to 4 by pi VCC sine omega t by RL. As we are using MOSFETs, the average drain current ID is given by ID is equal to 1 by RL into 1 by T integral 0 to T by 2 4 VCC by pi sine omega t d omega t. So here 4 VCC by pi is a constant which can be taken outside, and we can do the integration for sine omega t. So the 4 VCC by pi RL is taken outside, and integration of sine omega t is minus cos omega t by omega. So if we apply the limits, we will get this equation. Here omega t is equal to 2 pi. Hence the cos omega t by 2 can be written as cos pi, which has the value of minus 1. Therefore this term is minus 1, minus 1, which becomes minus 2. This minus 2 is getting multiplied with a minus, which becomes 2, and omega t can be written as 2 pi. Okay, therefore the simplified expression can be written as ID is equal to 4 VCC by pi RL into 1 by 2 pi, which is nothing but omega t into 2, which is inside of that brackets, which is equal to 4 VCC by pi RL. Therefore, the PDC value, DC power value is equal to DC voltage into average DC current 2ID. Therefore, PDC is equal to VCC into 2ID, which results 8 VCC square by pi RL. This is the DC power of our class D amplifier. Thereafter, we have to find the AC power delivered by the class D amplifier in order to get the efficiency. PAC is equal to, the AC power is a multiplication of AC current into AC voltage. If we express AC power in terms of a current, that can be written as IRMS square into RL. Therefore, IRMS value can be written as Im by root 2. We already know the Im value, which is 4 VCC by pi RL. Already we derived it. Okay. Therefore, the PAC equation will becomes 1 by 2 into 4 VCC by RL whole square into RL. So, which gives the PAC value is equal to 8 VCC square by pi square RL. So, if you observe, the PAC is equal to PDC. Therefore, we know that the efficiency formula eta is equal to PAC by PDC into 100. Therefore, the PAC is equal to PDC, which gives the efficiency of 100%. Therefore, the ideal class D power amplifier has the efficiency of 100%. If you move to the non-ideal class D amplifier, the MOSFET transistor has some resistance that is called on resistance, R on, that will get added to our output. If you see the efficiency of non-ideal class D amplifiers, so only one change is RL is equal to RL plus R on. Therefore, these all equations will get RL plus R on. So nothing is difference here. Everything is same, as the PDC is equal to 8 VCC square by pi square RL. In that ideal case, it is RL plus R on. So this is the equation. At the last, the PAC equation is also same, 8 VCC square by RL into pi square into RL plus R on whole square. If you observe, RL is very much greater than Rn, hence we can neglect R on in the equation. So in this derivation is similar for the ideal case. Only thing is, instead of RL, we will write RL plus R on. I1M is equal to 4 VCC by pi into 1 by RL plus R on. So like that, the PDC value will become 8 VCC square by pi square into RL plus R on, and the PAC value will become 8 VCC square into RL by pi square into RL plus R on whole square. So if you see this, the value of RL is very much greater than R on. Therefore, we can neglect R on from these equations, so that the efficiency PAC by PDC will result approximately 100% even in non-ideal case. Our next topic is Class S power amplifier. So this Class S power amplifier is similar to the Class D power amplifier, and the efficiency of Class S power amplifier is also same as the Class D power amplifier, approximately 100% only. So the basic principles of a Class S power amplifiers including the following operations. So one is the input is a PWM signal. So what is PWM? Pulse width modulation. So the input signal is a pulse width modulation signal, which is the combination of h of t and s of t. So this pulse width modulated signal will be given to the pulse amplifier circuit, where the high efficiency pulse amplifiers are used like a class D amplifier. So here in class S amplifier, we use the high efficiency pulse amplifiers like class D. So here the demodulation of this modulated signal will be done by the low pass filter section. If you observe the difference between class D and class S amplifiers, there is no feedback in this block diagram. The PWM modulator will give a constant amplitude pulse, and these pulses will be amplified by the pulse amplifier section. The modulated frequency is very higher than the signal frequency so that it can be completely removed using the low pass filter. The simplified class S amplifier shown here. So if you observe what is the difference between class D and class S here is, so in class D, we are using tuned circuit at the output, but in class S, we are using low pass filter to reproduce the output signal or demodulate the output signal. So the efficiency of this class S power amplifier is approximately 100%. So here this L and C which forms the low pass filter section. So across the RL we will take the output voltage. So the entire operation is similar to the class D operation, but the only difference here is instead of a tuned circuit we are using low pass filter for reconstruction of the signal. So next topic is MOSFET power amplifiers. MOSFET power amplifiers. So MOSFETs are preferred in a power amplifiers to switch the large current on and off instead of BJT. So MOSFETs are mostly preferred instead of a BJT. Why? They have some qualities like the VI characteristics. The characteristics of a MOSFETs are more linear than the BJTs. So that's why we are preferring the MOSFETs. So what happening if the component or device has the more linear operation means the distortion will be minimized. And the second advantage of a MOSFET is thermal runaway does not occur with the power MOSFETs. So thermal runaway is a problem. So what is happening in the BJT? So in the BJT, if more heat is getting generated means the junctions will break down. That is called as thermal runaway. So that is not happening here. In MOSFETs, the turn-off time is less because there is no minority charge carriers. The turn-off time is very less when compared with the BJT and large input impedance. So if you observe the input impedance of a MOSFETs are very large when compared with the BJT. That is also one more advantage using the MOSFETs. So if we have large input impedance, that reduces complexity in the design of driver circuits so that these MOSFET will not be load for the source. So this is a circuit for complementary MOSFET amplifier. Here we are using complementary MOSFET amplifier in the sense one is P-type MOSFET, another one is a N-type MOSFET. One is P-type MOSFET, another one is a N-type MOSFET, and we are using the two supply voltages. One is the drain supply voltage, another one is the source supply voltage VSS. And this is the MOSFET based class D power amplifier. So the MOSFET power amplifiers are most preferable than the BJT power amplifiers. Okay, now we will see some problems what we discussed in the last classes. So go to the problem number 1. The load of 4 ohms is connected to the secondary of a transformer having the primary turns of 200 and the secondary turns of 20. Calculate the reflected load impedance on primary. So here the values they have given is RL, load resistance is 4 ohms, and the transformer turns N1 is equal to 200 and N2 is equal to 20 ohms. So we know that transformer turns ratio small n is equal to secondary turns divided by the primary turns. So 20 divided by 200 which is equal to 0.1. The reflected load impedance on primary RL dash is equal to RL by N square, which is 4 by 0.1 whole square, which is 400 ohms. Hope you understood. So let's move to the problem. Find the value of a supply voltage required to deliver 20 watts to a 50 ohms load by an ideal class D amplifier. So they have given only one power value, that is 20 watts, because in class D type of an amplifier, the efficiency is 100%, which means that AC power is equal to DC power. So Given values are AC power is 20 watts and the load resistance is 50 ohms. Here it is mistake. So please change the RL to 50 ohms. PDC, the formula for the PDC is equal to 8 by pi square VCC square by RL. So PDC value they have given it is 20, which is equal to 8 by pi square VCC square by 50. Therefore, we will get the value of 35.12 volts. Okay, so this is about class D type of an amplifier problem. So next we will see class A problem. A series fed class A amplifier uses a supply voltage of 20 volts. The AC input voltage result in base current of 9 milliamperes peak. And calculate coordinates of Q point, DC input power, AC output power, efficiency, and power dissipation, maximum power dissipation. So these are the values we have to find. They have given the series fed class A amplifier to us. So first thing we have to calculate the coordinates of a Q point. In order to do that, we have to apply KVL for the input side. So if you apply the KVL, IBQ base current value, the Q point base current value is equal to VCC minus VBE by RB. So we know we are assuming that transistor is the silicon type which having the VBE value is 0.7. Therefore VCC minus 0.7 divided by RB. From the given values, the VCC is 20. So 20 minus 0.7 divided by 1.5 into 10 cube, which is 12.87 milliamperes. Therefore, we have to find ICQ current, which is beta times of IB. As we know that IC is equal to beta IB, ICQ is equal to beta times of IBQ. Therefore, we are multiplying the beta value 25 into the IBQ value. There we get 321.67 milliamperes as ICQ. So let us see the VCEQ value. VCEQ is equal to VCC minus ICQ into RL. Therefore, VCC is given as 20. ICQ value is just we calculated as 321.67 into 16. 16 is the load resistance value. Therefore, which is equal to 14.853 ohms. Therefore, the Q point coordinates are VCEQ, ICEQ values. So VCEQ value we calculated as 14.853 and ICEQ value we calculated at 321.67 into 10 power minus 3, which is milliamperes. Next thing we have to calculate the DC power PDC, which is equal to VCC into ICQ. So DC voltage into DC current. DC voltage VCC already given in the problem. ICQ just now we calculated as 321 milliamperes. If we multiply the both, we get 6.4 watts. Now the AC input causes the base current peak of 9 milliamperes, that is IB maximum is equal to 9 milliamperes. Therefore, ICM is equal to beta times of IBM. So beta into the value given IBM is 9 milliamperes, which is equal to 225 milliamperes. Okay, so next we have to calculate the ICRMS current. AC current ICRMS is equal to IC maximum by root 2. Therefore, it is 225 divided by root 2, which results 159.09 milliamperes. So why we are calculating this IC means we have to calculate AC input power. AC power is a multiplication of I square into R. So we have to know the AC current IRMS. Therefore, PAC is equal to IRMS square into RL. IRMS we calculated as 159.09. Therefore, the PAC power is equal to 404.95 milliwatts. Therefore, the efficiency, the fourth one is efficiency, eta percentage is equal to AC power divided by DC power into 100, which is equal to 0.4049. And DC power is 6.43 into 100, which is 6.29%. The efficiency is 6.29% only. So next we have to calculate the power dissipated. we have to calculate the power dissipated. PD is equal to DC power minus AC power. So DC power is 6.43 watts minus AC power is 0.4049 watts. Therefore, the dissipated power in the form of heat is 6.02 watts. Maximum dissipated power is equal to DC power. So maximum dissipation will occur when there is no AC reproduction. So PD maximum is equal to PDC, which is equal to 6.433 watts. Okay, in the next class we will discuss about distortion.